So we've seen how beauty elements can give us a lot of control over our render in comp, but for real control we need to target specific areas of our render, and for that we're going to need mattes. Now V-Ray has lots of different types of mattes and they all have their own roles and they're all quite powerful. We're going to look at object IDs, which as the name implies target a specific object, for example the gun, the bottle. Material IDs, which are based upon, for example, the whiskey material, the metal material, and everything that shares the same material will be on the same matte. The multi-matte pass is simply a pass which allows you to choose within that pass whether you want to use object or material IDs. And we have crypto mattes, which are a new kind of matte which was developed out of a SIGGRAPH paper. It's a relatively new feature in V-Ray. It uses an open source plugin within the compositing app and actually allows the compositor to select objects the same as you do in Maya, but within the render. And we're also going to create an ambient occlusion pass. The Chaos Group podcast describes ambient occlusion as passe. It is nevertheless kind of handy to know how to do it, and it's another example of why you might use a layer versus a pass. And finally we're going to look at controlling motion blur and depth of field using the depth and motion passes. So let's get cracking. Here we are back in our demo scene. Now I'm not looking at the depth of field at the moment, but I just wanted to examine how we're using mattes in this. So for reasons which I explained in a previous module, I'm actually using the mattes in a separate render, a separate layer. The reason for that is because I want the mattes to refract and to reflect without damaging the basic Back to Beauty setup. Now, the good thing is you can combine mattes with Back to Beauty. So if you look here within the comp, we have this material ID, which is our whiskey, glass and cap. If I look at the red channel, you see the whiskey, the green channel, you see the glass material, and the blue channel, you see the cap material. That's occluded by the leaf of the plant. And that's powering this color corrector, which is in our refraction filter. So if I go to the end of the comp and we look at this color correct, you can see that that's got the RGBA green, the green being the glass material. So that color correct is upping the saturation, bringing down the contrast, bringing down the gain. So if we look at that, we can see the glass material there, just changing so slightly. We also have this color correct here, which again is plugged in to the RGBA red, which is our whiskey material, and that is bringing down the saturation. Actually it's not, it's just gammering it down and tweaking the colors a little bit within the shadows and doing lots of things. And if we look at that, it's all limited to the whiskey material, and it just looks a lot nicer and more interesting with that color correct applied. So this matte is grading the desk, the mugs and the glasses. It's not actually grading the glasses. That glass that we're seeing there is actually where the table is being reflected and refracted in the glass. So it's the gun, mugs and the desk. So what I've done in V-Ray is actually named these as in order. So RGB, so red, green, blue, gun, mugs, desk. And that kind of naming convention is very handy for making sure that your compositors can follow what they need to use, what they want. Now you can combine these mattes in different ways. For example, if I just want to include where the desk is reflected within the glasses, you could create a channel merge node. So what I want is to create an alpha based on the green from this one, from the A pass, the green being our glass material, and then the B to be the blue, which is the desk. And now if I create a grade node right at the bottom, and this is probably not going to be particularly beautiful, but I just want to show you what we can do. So I can now grade because that's unison, I want it to be in. There we are. So let's look at that again. So I can just grade how the desk is, and that's just crazy. That's just what happens when you are trying to talk and work. So you can see that I'm just dealing with how my desk, my glass material is reflected and refracted. So not the desk itself everywhere, but just the reflections of the desk, and that's quite a nice way of adding a bit of interest to this. So there we go. We've obviously seen this in a bit of depth in the demo as well, so I want to get back into Maya as quickly as possible. So I'll see you there.